Hello and welcome to the Inside. Let's get into the yin. A couple of weeks ago, we had a request in the chat by Alona that maybe we could do a practice dedicated to world peace. There certainly is a lot going on in the world these days. So today, if you agree with the intention, let's dedicate our practice to peacefulness. And one of the great influences in my life was the Zen teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, who liked to say that peace in oneself, peace in the world. In other words, it has to start from within. He warns that if you try to create peace in the outer world and there's not peace in the inner world, you're just going to create more drama and problems. So today's practice will be working on this inner peace. But let's begin, as we normally do, with sitting for a few moments. We're coming into whatever comfortable seated position works for you. Take a moment to get grounded. Let's snuggle into the floor, into your cushion. And then from the floor, through your core, sit up nice and tall, let the heart open, shoulders floating back and down, hands relaxed, chin in slightly, eyes either closed or cast down on the floor in front of you. Taking a few moments to arrive. Becoming aware of the earth beneath you as you sit solid and grounded. Becoming aware of the sky above you, sitting tall like a great mountain. And become aware of the space all around you. Notice the temperature of the air against your skin. Notice the light touch of your clothing. Now to all of this, add an awareness of the breath within you. And notice what happens as you happen to breathe. Couple more breaths. And opening your eyes, we're going to come directly into our first Yin Yoga pose, a long-legged butterfly. So sliding the feet forward, having the feet together, and then quite far in front of you so your legs make a nice diamond shape. Still sitting up on something, to your own degree, start to come forward just until you find that first stopping point, your first edge. And then you check inside and notice how this feels. If you feel any stress in the knees, put blocks or some support underneath the thighs. Or some people like a bolster underneath both thighs. And then when the bones feel supported, the muscles can relax. And with no effort, we allow gravity to take us towards the floor. As always, the floor is not the destination, the floor is the direction. So our intention is not to get to the floor. Our intention is to get to a stopping point, and then to become still, and then to linger. And while we linger, there's going to be a whole bunch of physiological benefits happening in the body. We're not going to go over all those today. But there's also an opportunity to practice mindfulness. According to Thich Nhat Hanh, there's many different ways to define mindfulness, but in his definition, mindfulness is the practice and the energy of being awake and aware. It's the continuous practice of touching life deeply in every moment. To be mindful is to be truly alive and at one with those around us. And to practice mindfulness, we don't have to go anywhere special. We can pretty much do what we've always done. To practice mindfulness, we can just be aware of what we're doing. Whether we're working, sitting, walking, talking, eating, we learn to do these things with an awareness of what we're doing. And that's a beautiful description for how we can practice our Yin Yoga. Become aware of what we're doing, touching life deeply in this moment. About 2 more breaths here. Before we move to the next pose, take a mental snapshot of how you're feeling right now. Because we're going to return to the butterfly several times today. We'll just see if there's a difference each time we come into it. So one last little mental snapshot. Notice how you feel. And slowly come up. Slowly means not fast. Sit up tall for a moment. Pause. Now notice how you feel. Be mindful of your current state. We're going to come right into our next pose, which is the swan or the pigeon. I'm going to bring, in my case, I'm going to bring my left foot in and I'm going to stretch the right leg back. If you decide to do the other side first, just make sure you remember which side you're starting on. So my left foot is in, right leg's pretty straight. First thing to do is to check in with his front knee. If you know that a pose like pigeon or swan is going to torque your knee, bring that heel more underneath you. And then you can prop yourself up on your hands. So we begin with a proud swan. If you know your front knee is okay, flexing that foot, bring the foot a bit more forward, and then center yourself. Some people like to tuck the back toe under and slide that back knee away so your hips can get lower and lower. So here on the proud swan, it's a bit of a back bend, a bit of a counter pose from the forward fold that we did in butterfly, but we're also targeting the top of the back thighs. So today we're going to really focus on the 4 quadrants of the legs. So we want to feel something there, but we don't want to feel anything in the knee, the front knee. Now we're going to come down to the sleeping swan in stages. So don't just come all the way to the floor. Walk your hands a little bit forward and then snuggle the weight back into that front hip. Then repeat, hands forward, snuggle back. Maybe you can come onto your elbows. At this point, you may just stay here. Some people prefer to rest their chest onto a bolster, or if it's available for you, you can fall all the way to the floor. Again, we're not targeting the front knee. We want to feel something in the back leg, but we're also externally rotating that front hip. If you're not feeling anything, you are allowed to experiment. Modify the pose. Maybe move your upper body away from the front knee. Or some people prefer to go over the front leg. If none of these options feel like a good idea for you, you can roll onto your back and do the reclining version of a swan, which is also called eye of the needle. Your left ankle is on the right knee. Your left hand can push the right thigh away, or you can reach up, clasping hands on the top of the right knee. And this may be your swan. It's still a good way to work into that left hip, but we're not going to get that right quadricep stretch. Once you're in the position, once again, we become still, and we're going to stay for time. And the wonderful challenges about Yin Yoga is there's so many sensations that are arising in the body. Can we come into a peaceful relationship to these challenging sensations? Again, if we listen to the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh, a wonderful Zen Buddhist monk who was kicked out of Vietnam during the Vietnam War because he was protesting the war. So he set up in a little area in the south of France, just east of Bordeaux, and he created a monastery called Plum Village. I've had the opportunity to go to Plum Village and follow Thich Nhat Hanh and some of his other monasteries like Deer Park in California, but also had the chance to travel with him twice in Vietnam. I don't think I've ever met a more peaceful person, despite all the hardships he had growing up. As the Buddha once said, suffering is inevitable if you're alive. But dukkha is what we do about the suffering. In Thich Nhat Hanh's view, we need to be mindful of the suffering in the way that a mother may comfort a child that's ill, sick, or suffering. So take the sensations that you're experiencing for about one more minute and be like that mother comforting her child. We don't want to close our eyes to the suffering. We want to be there for the child, being mindful of what's happening. One last breath here. Let's slowly roll out and come back to sitting. Sitting with the legs straight. Or if you prefer, you can lie down. If you're sitting, you can lean back in your hands for a moment, lifting the heart, relaxing the legs. Notice how you feel. And then sliding the feet together once more, we come into the butterfly. So as I promised, we'd come back here. Come to wherever you were when you left the butterfly before. Wherever deep you were, just come to that point. Now we were in that butterfly for 4 minutes. So we were pretty deep. Again, we're not trying to go further. We just want to stay at that edge, wherever it is. Become still. Become mindful of the sensations in the body and in the heart. There's always sensations in the body. There's always something happening in the heart. Whatever that is, be present to it, like a mother comforting her child, developing this inner peace. In Thich Nhat Hanh's view and his experience, peace isn't something we work towards. That if we just keep practicing and working towards, one day we're going to be at peace. Peace is available right here, right now, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Peace is in every step. And it's possible to touch peace directly in this moment. Thich Nhat Hanh is a teacher, and in Vietnamese, the name of it, the word for a teacher is Thai. So his nickname was Thai, T-H-A-Y. So Thai would point out that peace is always available. He's written over 100 books, and some of them are called Touching Peace. Another one is Peace is Every Step. Basically, in each moment, peace is available to you. Again, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything different. It's just you learn to do what you're doing with awareness, the gentleness, a compassion. Two more breaths here. And again, before we come up, take a little mental snapshot of what you're experiencing right now. Is it any different from the previous time? Perhaps maybe your experience is more broad. You're noticing more things. Not that you're necessarily deeper, but you're a little bit calmer, more present. Let's slowly come up. Again, not fast. Sitting tall, pause here for a moment. Again, regain the stillness. And we're going to come to the swan on the other side. So I'm going to bring my right leg in this time, left leg straight out to the side. Again, checking with this front knee. And if this is your funky knee, bring that heel right underneath you. When you come into the proud swan, you're sitting on the heel. Or you can roll onto your back and do the eye of the needle version. If the knee is okay, flexing the foot. When you flex the foot, you kind of stiffen the fascia around the knee, which gives it a little bit more support. And then centering your hips. Just a moment here in the proud swan to release the lower back and the forward folds. If you want, you can tuck the back toes under, slide that back knee away. So we're getting a little bit more into the top of the left thigh this time. And then slowly walk the hands a little bit forward, but snuggle back. Try to keep the weight on the outside of that front hip. Hands a little bit further forward, snuggle back. Eventually, you can come onto your elbows, rest on a block. Experiment, try to find a place where you can rest and relax, but you still feel something on the outside of that front hip, and maybe a little tugging on the top of the back leg. Once you're there, become still. Notice the challenge. The postures in yoga aren't meant to be comfortable. That would be restorative yoga. In Yin Yoga, we want to challenge you. We still want to feel something. And that something is where we can practice inner peace. So in the midst of the challenge, can you cocoon those sensations inside the care, compassion, the comforting like a mother, comforting her child. Again, mindfulness is the energy being awake and aware to the present moment. It's the continuous practice of touching life deeply in each moment. To be mindful is to be truly alive and at one with those around us. And practicing mindfulness doesn't require us to go anywhere special. We can very much do what we always do, but we learn to do them with an awareness of what is happening. So soften here. But surround the sensations with a comforting mindfulness. About 1 more minute here. And 1 more breath here. And then we're going to roll back to sitting. Or if you prefer, you can lie down. Do a little mini Shavasana for the rebound. If you're sitting, sit tall, close your eyes, let the legs relax. Notice what you're feeling here. And then one last time, we're going to come back to the butterfly. Again, sitting up on something, soles of the feet together. Allow yourself to come forward until you stop. If it's getting to be too much, do put some support underneath the thighs. A couple of minutes here. Come to your edge, become still, linger. As well as noticing the physical sensations and noticing the emotional sensations in the heart. Peace also requires awareness of what's happening in the mind. Thich Nhat Hanh has a wonderful metaphor to illustrate an ancient Buddhist teachings. But basically it boils down to you are what you think. A lot of people use this saying that we are what we eat. In the Buddhist world, you are what you think. And there are thoughts in your mind that we allow to remain that are unskillful. Thich Nhat Hanh calls these thoughts seeds. And if we water the seeds, they grow. The unskillful seeds grow into unskillful thoughts. But there's also seeds that we have that are skillful. By being mindful, we can learn to stop watering the seeds that lead to weeds and start watering the seeds that lead to compassion, peace, joy. So his analogy is a lot of people are watering weeds. They're standing there in the weed patch and they're spraying water onto a lot of weeds. Now, the weeds are the different unskillful types of thoughts we have. You know, weeds of anger, jealousy, envy, anxiety. A lot of seeds seem to end in Y. Thich Nhat Hanh suggests every time you notice that you're watering your weeds, that the thoughts that are coming and persisting into your mind are really not skillful, then take your watering can and go to your flower garden. Water the seeds that lead to the flowers. So what are some of these thoughts? These are the thoughts of gratitude, compassion, joy, happiness. But there are other thoughts that can lead there as well. Think of your children or grandchildren, your good friends, your yoga practice, your sports, your hobbies, the things that spark joy. Every time you notice that your mind has wandered into the weed patch and you're watering weeds, make the effort, and it is effortful at first, to go to your flower garden and water some flowers. That requires us first to notice when we're watering weeds, so we have to be mindful, we pay attention. And then we set an intention to build inner peace. So we take the watering can and we replace those thoughts by watering the seeds that lead to compassion, peace, joy, love, happiness, contentment, whatever the flowers are in your life. Let's slowly come up. And this time we're going to come all the way to the floor. Lying down, a little mini Shavasana for a moment. Now first, notice how the legs feel. Relax the legs. We're targeting the legs today. Of course, we're working the other parts of the body too, but soften the legs. Notice that sense of relief, release. Notice that sense of like there's now joy flowing through your legs. They're so happy to be in neutral. Now we're going to start to add more extension through the front body. We're going to come into it first through supported bridge. Bring your feet in towards you. Make sure you have some props, some blocks, or a bolster handy. Lift your hips up just enough that you can support your hips onto your blocks or bolsters. As always, make sure the support is right underneath the pelvis, not underneath the lower back. And then to your own degree, start to slide the legs straighter. Not everyone will get to completely straight. Just go to where that feels, that's enough for you. If the legs are completely straight, you start to feel that nice tugging in the front of the thighs, maybe into the lower belly. Some students may need to have higher supports. That's okay. But just a caution is don't use blocks on their edges. That concentrates the force into a too small area, which builds the pressure. And also, especially if you're in the tallest setting of a block, it's somewhat unstable. So better, if you want to get higher, is just have more multiple blocks. And that way they're stable, solid, secure. Final option, you can bring your arms over your head. It's a whole front body stretch here. Now let's wrap whatever you're feeling into the flower of mindfulness. Again, like a mother comforting her child, be aware of what you're feeling with acceptance. So we have sensations physically in the body. There's always some sort of an emotional state in the heart. And there's also thoughts coming and going in the mind. Whenever you notice a thought that comes into your mind is not really skillful, it's not serving what you'd like to have today, take the energy away from that thought. Don't try to stop it. That just gives it more strength. Don't act out on it either. That just validates it. Instead, simply bring your watering can to your flower garden. Choose a seed that you want to water that will grow into a lovely flower. And for today, let's choose the flower of peace. Peace in oneself, peace in the world. Well, one more minute here. Walking your feet towards you. Pause for a moment. Stiffen your lower belly for a moment. Lift your hips up just a little bit so you can start to slide the supports away. And slowly roll your spine to the floor. Pause here with the knees bent. Allow the knees to fall inward for a moment, arms to the side. Enjoy the rebound. Rolling over onto your stomachs. We can do one more extension for the spine in the Sphinx pose. We've done Sphinx many times in the past, so come into your version of the Sphinx. Maybe you have lots of options, bolsters underneath the armpits, or maybe bolsters underneath the elbows. Find a place where you can be still for a while. If you ever find that you get headaches while doing Yin Yoga, often it's due to this pose. People come into the Sphinx and then they try to look forward, perhaps looking at a computer screen or looking at the teacher. And that deep back bending of the neck can sometimes compress the vertebral arteries that bring blood to the brain. And that may be the cause of the headaches. But generally in Sphinx, it's a good idea to just let the head hang down. Relax the neck. Soften the lower back. Watch the thoughts that come into your mind. If it's a flower, let the thought be there. If it's a weed, stop watering that seed. Take your water can over, pick the flower of peace and water that. So any thoughts relating to peace, to joy, to calmness, contentment, allow those flowers to flourish. About 3 more breaths. Slowly coming down, turning your head to one side. Rest your cheek on your palm, slide that knee alongside you on the floor. Close your eyes, soften here. Switch sides. And then rolling onto your back. We'll have 2 options. For those that are very flexible, and you can come into the full saddle where you're laying on the floor, hips between the feet. If this is easy for you to do, then you'll do this option. We're starting to internally rotate the hips now. For the rest of us normal people, we're going to do windshield wipers. With the knees bent, have your feet wide apart, as wide as your mat, but the heels are close enough that you can touch them with your fingers. And then to begin, just drop the knees from side to side a few times. So now we're beginning to internally rotate in the hips in one direction that we really haven't moved them today. And this starts to work the outside of the thighs, the outside of the legs. Now, the next time both legs are to the left, stay there. Walk your right foot more to the right. If you can grab it, you can pull it up towards you. The right knee may be floating, that's okay. If it's uncomfortable floating, put your left foot underneath the right knee, or put a block or a bolster there. If you want more sensation, put the right knee or the bolster on top. Sorry, the left knee on top of the right. The left ankle on top of the right knee. You know what I mean. So your choice. We'll be here for a while. A couple of minutes on this side. If you want, you can turn your head to the right. And hopefully you're feeling something on the top of the thigh, and maybe a little bit to the outside of the leg and the hip, the main target area. You're also getting a little bit of a back bend in the lower back. That's a bonus. And a bit of a release into the neck as you turn your head to the right. Now take these sensations and envelop them in mindfulness. Develop the feeling of peace within you, a sort of contentment in spite of the challenge, a softening. And although Thich Nhat Hanh says peace in oneself, peace in the world, it doesn't mean that he always prioritized inner work and that's all. He developed a form of Buddhism he called engaged Buddhism. When he lived in Vietnam, he was born and raised in a city called Hue, which is right in the midline between North and South Vietnam. The people in the North always accused him of being a Southerner. Those in the South accused him of supporting the North. And when they'd ask him, where are you from? He'd always say the middle. and from the middle. But his village, unfortunately, was bombed several times. And during the bombing, he and his monks and nuns in his monastery would hunker down. But as soon as the bombing ended, they didn't stay in the monastery. They went out and catered to the wounded, helped to rebuild the huts and the homes. Feeling peace in oneself is wonderful, but you still have to live in the world. You just live in that world with a peace in your own heart. There's peace in every step. There's peace in every breath. And let's switch sides. So slowly roll to your left and bring that right leg to the right. Now the left knee comes into the middle. The right leg goes to the right. If you can grab the left heel, pull it a little bit closer towards you. Once again, find the place where that left knee is feeling appropriate. You can support underneath the knee, or you can weight it down on top of the knee. You can turn your head and look to the left. We have a couple of minutes here, if that's appropriate for you. If you're doing the full saddle, you've already been in it for 5 minutes. So you decide when it's appropriate to come out. When you come out of the saddle, just lay on your back with the legs straight. But for now, cocoon all your sensations in mindfulness. About 3 more breaths here. And rolling to your right, release the legs. Lying on your back, allow the legs to be straightish. Pause here. Notice how you feel. Enjoy the rebound. Hug the knees, circle the knees to massage the lower back. We'll finish with a release for the spine, but also some more internal rotation of the hips. The feet on the floor. Bring your right leg on top of the left leg. You can move your hips a little bit to the right. If you can wrap the legs, do that. Bring your right foot underneath the left calf. If you can't do that, don't worry about it. Drop both knees to the left. And to your own degree, open the right arm to the right. If the arm's floating, you may want to just rest your hand on the rib cage or put some blocks underneath either the knee or the shoulders. If your neck's okay, turn your head to the right. If that creates any lightheadedness or dizziness, don't turn your head. In the stillness, notice the challenge of this pose. And like a mother comforting her child, envelop the sensations in mindfulness. One more minute here. One more breath here. On your next inhale, draw the knees back up. Unwrap the roots, pause for a moment. Enjoy a brief rebound. For the second side, move your hips a bit to the left. Bring the left knee on top of the right. Wrapping the legs if you can. Drop both knees to the right. Opening your left arm out to the left, looking to the left, or resting the hand on the ribs. Become still, soften, become mindful. Mindfulness is the energy of being awake and aware to the present moment. It's the continuous practice of touching life deeply in each moment. To be mindful is to be alive and at one with those around us. Being mindful does not require us to go anywhere special. We can very much do what we've always done. Walking, sitting, working, eating, talking. But we learn to do these things with an awareness of what we're doing. About 3 more breaths. As you inhale, come back up. Release the legs. Pause for a moment. And move in whatever way feels organic. Perhaps circling the knees or rocking on your back from side to side. Or both. And now we're ready for our final Shavasana, final relaxation. So take a moment to find a place where you can relax. As always, if you feel you might be a bit cold, put on layers, put on socks, grab a blanket, sweater. Take off anything that's tight or constricting. So take off your watches, take off your glasses, let your hair down. Now let's use a few peaceful breaths to help us relax. So not deep inhales this time. Just take a little breath in and then relax, exhale. Nice and easy. Again, a little breath in and soften and relax. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Now soften your palms, relax your soles of your feet. Unweight your arms, release your legs. Soften your shoulders, relax your hips. Soften your facial muscles, relax your lips. Soften your belly, relax your spine. Now open your heart and relax your mind. At a deep unconscious level, through your practice today, your body is healing. Unconsciously becoming younger, stronger, healthier, whole. And this deep healing at a cellular level will continue unconsciously throughout the days to come. But consciously, all you remember is this growing sense of peace within you. There in the heart space, like a flower opening, a growing sense of joy. So enjoy this. Enjoy being relaxed. And throughout the days to come, enjoy being in peace. Now, slowly, allow your breath to become a little bit deeper. Bring a little movement to your fingers. Roll your head from side to side as you circle your wrists and ankles. In both directions. And bring the arms overhead. Take a deep inhale and stretch the whole body. Reach and push and pull. And as you release, roll to your left side. Use your bottom arm as a pillow. Bend the knees. Pause for a moment. And rolling up to sitting. So Ilona, thanks for suggesting a practice based on peace. For those who like this, there's a couple of companion practices you might want to check out in the archives. Back in February of 2022 and in September of 2022, we did two practices called Metta Meditation. Metta is the Buddhist practice of loving kindness. So very related to peace is the act of loving kindness directed first towards yourself and eventually towards others and all sentient beings. So this week you may want to practice these together. Again, go back to February of 2022 and September of 2022 and perhaps do those two metta practices with this practice a few times. So thank you for leaving us now, for your attention and your intentions. For those who are staying for the meditation, let's find our posture. Finding a comfortable, solid seating position. And once more, let's get grounded from the floor through your core. Sit up tall, heart opens, shoulders relaxed. Eyes either closed or cast down on the floor in front of you. If you have a preferred meditation technique, feel free to use that. Otherwise, back to mindfulness. Mindfulness of the breath. We're just going to wrap the breath in this cocoon of awareness, embracing the breath like a mother embracing a child. As you inhale, count 1. As you exhale, count 2. The next inhalation is 3. Exhale is 4. Keep breathing, counting until you reach 10, and then start again. Now, some thoughts will come into your mind. Remember, these thoughts can be flowers or weeds. We don't want to water the weeds. So we practice being mindful of what's happening and then making the appropriate choice. In this case, the flower is the breath. We let go of the weeds and we return to the flower, the breath, counting the breath. Let's begin. We have about 2 more minutes. And slowly opening your eyes. Release the legs. Circle the ankles, massage the knees. Again, getting the blood flow to the legs. Again, thank you all for your attention and your intention. Until we meet again, please take care, stay safe, and enjoy a week of peace. Bye for now.